What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing the long-awaited review of the Shear Revival Amity Texture Spray. So this spray has been reviewed in conjunction with the American Gardens clay pomade in, I guess, in parallel, not parallel, just the two of them working together has been a very ideal combination. So for today's review, we're going to see how the spray works on its own initially, and then we'll go ahead and apply the American Gardens clay pomade just to see how the two work together. Just going to be doing the usual, taking a look at the design of the jar, application process, my initial thoughts, and then we'll go ahead and apply the clay pomade just to see how the two work together. Just right off the bat, the endurance test for most sprays isn't going to be necessary just because sprays typically don't last throughout the day. They do hold your hair out of place. We'll see that in a bit, but we're gonna do the endurance test more as the spray functioning as more of a pre-styler than anything. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then my final thoughts on it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the jar or the bottle. All right, so taking a look at the bottle, you see that a lot of the clay has settled down here. As listed on their website, it's gonna be necessary for you guys to shake it and just kind of get things dissolved within the bottle before you actually use it. So not too much of a hassle, just because this is kind of like almost automatic before using any kind of spray bottle. It comes in an 8-ounce amber glass bottle with this nifty nozzle that you can lock and unlock to use or not use. That's about it. This is going to be plastic, and as with most Shear Revival products, it's gonna come in very standard Shear Revival design, with the main thing obviously being the actual logo being different, as well as the ingredients. Everything else is pretty much the same. And my guess with that logo this time is that it's a movie reference to Jaws. I believe Amity was the Amity Islands where Jaws took place, but doing a little bit of research, I also found that Amity is a giant ship in Australia. It's some sort of like historical ship that does like boat tours. I'm not exactly sure. I lost interest after like the first 3-4 sentences, but my guess is it's definitely from Jaws just because of the sinking ship. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the application process. Just to read off what the product listing says, we have a sea salt spray that's going to be a kaolin clay base. It's going to add tons of texture, volume, and texture to your look, and then 100% plant and mineral derived ingredients, going to provide you with a light hold and a matte finish, as well as the ingredients with, there's going to be an emphasis on key ingredients: the aloe, marula oil, and bamboo extract, all which help kind of condition your hair, UV protectant, and then provides strength and elasticity to the hair follicles. A lot of potential. Unfortunately, I can't prove any of that, but I'll believe Zach and we'll go with that. So let's go ahead and apply it and see what we get. So shake the bottle before you use it. Take off your glasses if you do have glasses on. I've had the issue of it falling on the glasses and me having to wipe everything off, only to find that it's really hard to wipe off. Alright, so usually I go for about 6 to 7 sprays. And we'll do one more. So typically, I'd say 7 sprays works pretty well for me. Initially, you're going to find your hair is going to be a little wet, so you're going to get a very slick kind of look. Not much hold. The key, or the, I guess, turn of events is when things start drying up, and that's when you're left with pretty much the clays. So in this instance, we're going to use a blow dryer just to speed things up. Awesome. So as you guys can see, it's going to be a very matte finish, very loose of a look. It's more on the natural side if you're going to use the spray on its own. Surprisingly, it's providing a lot of hold for what weight the product is. if that makes sense. It's like the product itself doesn't weigh down your hair. It just has a ton of, I don't even know, I guess there's a lot of clay that provides the control and hold right now. I do see that like a gust of wind or like from a fan or just sudden movement, things are gonna move and kind of fall out of place. But that's kind of expected with light hold products for my hair, so not a huge complaint. Honestly, I could probably go throughout the day like this. We'll go ahead and see how this lasts, probably like an hour or two, just to give you guys an idea how things progress throughout the day. We'll come back, apply the American Gardens, and then we'll see how that lasts in conjunction with one another. All right, I'll see you guys in like an hour or two. Oh yeah, I forgot. One thing is the scent. So online, I believe it's gonna be a natural sage and bergamot scent. It's a very like, not herbal, but kind of along the lines of like O'Dowd scents, where it's like very natural. There's some citrusy, some like herbalness to it, but it's not too sweet, as well as it not being too like a spice kind of scent. I'd say it's more on like the sage side and a little bit of the bergamot, where it's like a little bit sweet and bitter. I think that's what it was, but other than that, it's not an overpowering scent in any way. So right now I can tell that most of it has been kind of dissolved and evaporated in the air, but you're left with like a hint of it. Nothing to be concerned about if you're gonna be too worried about the scent itself. So I'm expecting the American Gardens to kind of take over, if anything. All right, for real now, see you guys in 2 hours. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. We got things as kind of expected. Things have shifted, have moved, and just overall it's a very loose kind of styling process if you were to use the Amity spray on its own. Things can still be kept out of place in terms of like out of your face, but in terms of like having a great sense of control over your hair, that's not really going to happen without the help of an extra product. It's definitely going to be for sure a light hold. So we're going to introduce a stronger, drier product. This will add a lot more clay into what you have already in your hair, which basically translates to more hold, more control, and with the increased dryness, it's just going to be like a very natural kind of I guess overall finish that you're going to get, or just overall result. So with most sprays, what's usually marketed or usually advertised is that because you have purchased the spray, it can extend the life of your pomades or whatever your products you're using. So if you're going to use a spray, you're going to have to use less of the product in theory. So we're going to probably, because usually what I do with the American Gardens is I use 2 scoops just to make sure everything is held in place. But with the introduction of the Amity spray, we're going to be using 1 scoop just to really test out what people are saying, how these products work in conjunction with one another. So, ooh, I forgot how hard this is to scoop out. So in theory, we're only going to need about 1 scoop. Oh, that's a huge scoop. Cool. So probably going to be use about a dime's worth. All right. So let's mess everything up. Cool. Oh, I forgot how good this smells. So for sure, the American Garden smell is gonna be the overpowering one, or dominant one in this mix. As you guys see, the result is essentially the same. What we kind of get more out of is like a little bit more weight, because we got more clay in the hair, which again translates to a bit more hold. Just kidding, a lot more hold. So as you guys see, the hair isn't as like, I guess, responsive in movement. It's not as loose, so we don't get that crazy amount of like, I guess, natural waviness or like that springiness or the floofiness that we usually or we got initially with just the Amity spray. So definitely a good combo so far. I like how loose it feels, but at the same time everything feels like it's held in place. Comparing this to using 2 scoops of American Gardens, my hair isn't as heavy, so it doesn't have that like weight that we usually get with just applying more pomade in general. So it's a nice, like, I'd say like a 1.5 versus a 2 scooper. Would it be the same as using a 1.5 scoop, or like 1.5 times amount of American Gardens? Not necessarily. There's more clay without the extra like waxes and other ingredients that are used within American Gardens itself. So just think of it as you're adding more clay to the pomade itself. In general, you get a drier, I say like I'd say you get a drier result of what you would get from American Gardens if you were to use it alone, if that makes sense. Just think of it as you're just adding more dryness to your hair. So with more dryness, more control, and that's pretty much it. All right, let's go ahead and get throughout the day, and then we'll see how this kind of lasts, probably within the next 5 hours. So not much going on today. I'm just going to be doing some spring cleaning, doing the usual workout, probably film this before I work out, but spring cleaning, do a little bit of editing just to practice, and then trying to beat Sekiro. I'm on that last boss, not the not the Samurai Saint or whatever his name is, but that freaking fire demon. I'm getting wrecked, but we'll see how that goes. Could be responding to you guys within like 10 hours from now, but I'll try and get this before sundown. Let's go ahead and wrap this up real quick. What we got is a very loose end result. Things have kind of shifted down. Product itself feels super light at this point in my hair. What we got initially applying the American Gardens clay pomade, that initial control is essentially gone at this point. It's basically a super light hold product. Still restylable, but it's definitely not gonna have that initial quote-unquote slickness that we saw earlier. It's definitely going to be a lot looser than if we were to just use extra American Gardens as we did before, with the combination of the Amity Texture Spray as well as the American Gardens clay pomade. We get basically something in between from using just the Amity spray versus 2 scoops of the clay pomade. Overall, I enjoy using this. This is a very interesting mix that I typically don't really do because it just complicates my routine. There's not necessarily the need for me to use a blow dryer in the morning as well as an extra product. If I were to just choose one or the other, yes, Amity spray works well on its own. If I were to go for a super loose, natural kind of, more laid back look where I just want to keep things out of my face, yes, that definitely works fine. With the American Gardens clay pomade, as you guys know, it works perfectly fine as a clay pomade. Super dry of a product as well as a high hold. The smell, it's I would say more on the American Gardens side. Control, hold, it just varies depending on how hot the temperature is. I found that the higher or the hotter the temperature, the softer that you're going to get, or the softer the result that you're going to get in general. What else? Shine, obviously, is going to be a matte finish. There's obviously not going to be a point where it just gets shiny. Frizziness or strays, they do pop up more and more as the day progresses. That's just the product kind of loosening up. I don't know the explanation for that. I just know the product kind of gets less effective. Rinses out pretty easily. You just use a shampoo and then you'll get most of the clays out. With the Amity spray on its own, you can essentially wash everything out with just water. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, definitely a great combo to use. I have not used it with other products. This has just been a very recommended or utilized combination. I wish I should have done that, but given the time frame of how things are going, I just wanted to get this out so that you guys can get an idea of how the Amity spray works. Just think of it as adding extra clay on top of whatever pomade you're using. So if you wanted to have that extra dryness, that extra control, this could potentially provide you with that if you're going to use it as pre-styled. Don't really know how it will work on other people's hairs, where if it's shorter, thinner, all that good jazz. That's different from mine. By itself, I can't really provide that insight just because I don't necessarily understand completely how this spray works as like a clay spray. But as time progresses, hopefully I do understand that better. So I think that's pretty much it. All right, I'll see you guys next time.